Let me tell you a story. I remember when I had just graduated from university in Ukraine, where I studied aerospace engineering, and it was time to go back home to Nigeria. And I remember telling myself, do I want to get a job now or do I want to further my studies? Fast forward, I decided I was going to further my studies. However, I was returning to Nigeria at this time, which was July of 2019. So I went back home, met my parents who I have not seen for 4 years. I was so excited to be home. And then mostly the food in Nigeria, the street food. I lived in the north, so I ate a lot of masa, bambara, wara. If you live in the north, you know how delicious this food is. So I enjoyed all those food while I was there. I was really happy to be home. And then I got an opportunity to work in the Nigerian Air Force. So I worked in the Nigerian Air Force as an aircraft engineer. I joined the Air Force at Abuja, 307 EAG. That was where I worked. And I really loved my time there. But I remember while I was working there, something told me maybe you are not meant to be an aircraft engineer because the work was really tedious, and then doing it in a military setting made it even more difficult. And then I remember my goal, which was to further my studies. And then I started to apply for admissions. The first school I applied to in Tennessee, East Tennessee State University, I was rejected. And I remember how devastated I was. I was like, God, have I come from Ukraine now to be in Nigeria and I get stuck? I was really feeling sad about the rejection. But I told myself, what's next? Do I just settle and say, okay, I'm going to be here doing something I don't like, or would I try again? I decided to try again the next year and I applied to about four different universities. All the universities actually gave me admissions. I remember that. They gave me admissions. And this was a time where I had to work so hard to pay for my application fees and all the fees that come with getting admission in the US. I solved problems for friends of mine in Ukraine because there was a particular subject that was very difficult for others to do. But I had the gift or the intelligence to, solve that problem really easy. So people paid me for that. And so I earned a lot of money. I would make $100 here, $200 here. I joined everything together and I was applying for admissions, paying for application fees, sending my documents via DHL, FedEx, and all that. And it was time for me to go for my master's. And I told my parents, I told my uncle who I was staying with, and he told me, my boy, don't rush. There's no money now to pay for your fees, things like that. And I remember the conversation I had with myself in my mind. I'm like, I know these people are actually being real, that they don't have money to sponsor me for my masters. Things are challenging right now. And if they do, they are afraid that they might not be able to continue the payment. They might be able to pay for my first year, but not be able to pay for the second year. But I told myself something. There are scholarship opportunities. Why do not apply for that? I decided to bet on myself. And when I say bet on yourself, is telling yourself that you are going to achieve this goal no matter what. That is what I told myself. While others were telling me, be patient, there is no money, I told myself, there is a way. And I remember reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where it constantly reminded me that where there is a will, there's always a way. And that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, that also, that thing, that mind can achieve. And then I told myself, hey boy, since I have heard of scholarship opportunities, I'm definitely going to travel. So my parents were able to support me, paid my visa fees. I went for that and I got my visa. They were able to pay for my air ticket. And at this point, I had not paid my school fees. I didn't know how I was going to pay it. So it was a risk I was taking. But I had a belief in myself. And I also had faith in God that my fees were going to be paid through a scholarship. I knew that I was going to get it. So I traveled to the United States. I remember arriving St. Louis airport and I'm like, I'm finally here. even though I didn't know how to pay my fees. So I got a house and I came to the US with, I think, $1,000. That was all I came with at that time. So this was a very big leap of faith. I started my studies, things were going well. And then I got a job at Mondo's. It's just like Subway. I was selling sandwiches. I remember working long hours, night shifts, so that I can pay my rent and also eat. As I was doing that, this was my first semester. I approached my professors and my department chair. I also approached my supervisor and told them my interest in working while studying. And God so good, my supervisor approached me with an opportunity to work on a research project. And once the opportunity came, I grabbed it. And that was everything I wanted and desired. It paid my fees, gave me stipends. I'm sure you know how it is done in the US. My belief that my fees will be paid, that I'm going to study in the US and to get my master's degree came to pass. This was beyond all odds when everybody was fearful and they didn't mean bad. They did not want to stop me from studying. They were just being in their reality. But I chose to bet on myself and I chose not to let my circumstance determine whether I will achieve my goals or not. So I took the risk. And I share this story to tell you that sometimes you got to believe in yourself and in a higher power, which is God for me. What is that goal that you have that people around you are telling you, don't do it now, I don't have the money to help you, or it is impossible? What is that goal? I want you to keep that goal in your own heart and promise yourself that you can achieve it. With all focus and dedication, take the risk that you need to take in order to achieve your goal. Because at the end of life, what we'll remember on our deathbed is the kind of life we decided to live. It's either we are on our deathbed thinking about fulfillment from the choices that we made, or you'll be in your deathbed ruminating on the regrets for not making the choices you needed to have made, for not taking the risk you ought to have taken. So decide today to take that risk, no matter what it's going to cost you. Take that risk. Do it while scared. The person that you become after achieving your goals is actually more important than the goal. It brings you fulfillment. This goal and achievement opened my mind to the world of possibilities. It boosted my faith and helped me trusted in a higher power that knows better than my circumstances and my realities. And from then onward, when I decided to pursue a goal, I do not let my immediate reality determine if I can achieve it or not. Decide today to pursue your goals no matter what, and you will achieve it.